In passing down his philanthropic legacy, Edgar Bronfman has focused his Jewish efforts on two of his sons, the elder Matthew, who is now in line to one day head the World Jewish Congress, and on Adam Bronfman, who is now the principal at the Samuel Bronfman Foundation, and helping set the course for how the foundation invests his dollars. Together, Adam and his father have set a course to make their foundation perhaps the most liberal of Jewish foundations, one that is aimed at building a more inclusive Jewish future. Among their top concerns is getting the mainstream organized world to recognize that the future of the non-Orthodox Jewish community may in fact lay in its ability to bring intermarried couples back into the Jewish fold. Much of this is based on Adam Bronfman's own personal history. He himself is very much a Jew by choice. He was estranged from his father and his religion, until in fact he met his non-Jewish wife, and together they found a synagogue and were welcomed into a Jewish world, as he recently explained to a couple of thousand participants at the United Jewish Community's General Assembly in Jerusalem.
I fell in love, and I married a woman who was not Jewish. And despite our lack of knowledge about Judaism, we decided to raise our children as Jews. We attended courses on how to raise Jewish children and how to create a Jewish home. And now we are a family of 6 proud Jews.
One school of sociologists studying the Jewish world has prescribed that the best way to grow the Jewish world is by welcoming intermarried couples. This, however, has been a tough pill to swallow for a mainstream Judaism that traditionally fears intermarriage as its single greatest threat. While intermarriage has been discussed publicly in smaller workshops at previous General Assemblies, the Bronfmans broke new ground at this one, bringing the subject literally to the front stage of the organized Jewish world. First, the senior Bronfman floated the idea at a pre-GA plenary at the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial for some 800 next-gen participants.
I advocate a wide-open tent, a great big tent, just like Abraham and Sarah had. That we ought to be welcoming to those who marry non-Jews, be welcoming to the non-Jews, because let's not talk about intermarriage anymore as an enemy. It's a fact. And as a fact, we have to recognize it and we have to work with it.
The UJC has not officially taken a stance on intermarriage, but officials from the Jewish Federation system responded to Bronfman's idea sympathetically at a pre-GA press conference.
I think he is acknowledging what the reality is, that our American Jewish community, we have a very significant intermarriage rate, and speaking personally, I think we can view it as an opportunity for us to grow the Jewish population.
Then, Adam broke out the Bronfman idea to a plenary session about the future of the Jewish people.
The first part of my Jewish journey has become common. Many of my generation were raised in households that lacked significant Jewish presence, and today roughly half of all Jewish students on North American college campuses have only one Jewish parent. The second part of my journey is the more unlikely, in that my family and I were fortunate to be welcomed into the Jewish community with such encouraging and open arms, at a time when many Jewish institutions still fail to recognize and embrace Jewish intermarried families.
In a wide-ranging interview at the GA, Adam explained to JTA his thoughts on intermarriage and about working together with his father.
There's something more than just the mundane involved in a relationship that works. So that while I have a relationship with my father, and that we are both interested in finding a way to help the world become a better place, to see a world that's more than just commerce or more than just the mundane aspects of life, but that is something ennobling, that there's something special about that's happening. If we choose to call that God, that's great. But I think that there's something very meaningful about two people, particularly a father and a son, getting together and saying, we would like to work together, and we would like to work together to find value for ourselves and therefore for the greater world.
For Adam Bronfman, though, the issue does seem about far more than just bringing intermarried couples into the fold.
I am a passionate believer that Judaism itself is and should be based on ideas, and that ideas are accessible to anybody. That does not mean that there isn't something unique about Judaism, but that it is not that value right, is open to anybody. So that if somebody chooses to marry a Jewish man or a Jewish woman, that if you choose to be in relationship and the two of you choose to lead a Jewish life, that the institutions that represent the community, the larger community of Jewish life, should be completely open to more and more people coming in to that community.
This has been a slow battle, Bronfman said, but steady progress has been made, even though many segments of the Jewish world are afraid of the very word intermarriage.
By and large, the people who are making pronouncements such as intermarriage is the greatest threat to Jewish continuity are living sort of outside the reality. They're outside the flow. There are people who, where the people are on the ground, in communities that are welcoming, they're not concerned with what the people who are writing studies are saying. They're really not concerned about that. They're busy bringing up their children, planning for the bar mitzvah, planning for the bat mitzvah. Doing they're taking their kids to school, going and shopping for a challah. They're really not reading these studies, and so life is going on, and institutions are welcoming more and more people. And as they learn the language of being welcome, of learning how to say you are of value, and by you coming in the doors, we become more valuable. And how that is dealt with in very, very narrow terms of birth and death and marriage is really less important than the day-to-day life of the synagogue, where more and more intermarried couples are coming, because synagogues are, particularly Reform synagogues, the statistics that I read are that they are gaining in congregants. And the only way that could possibly be happening is if more and more intermarried couples are coming.
And father and son have seen the community grow.
Institutions more and more and more recognize that the future for them lies in the Jewish world as it is composed. And for the people who are, let's say, under 30, who happen to be Jewish, 50% of them have one Jewish parent, not two Jewish parents. If Judaism is to survive, they have to be open to them. There's no question that most institutions that I work with desperately want to have all people who self-identify as Jews to come into their place, whether it's a synagogue, a JCC, a federation, a school, doesn't matter. They want all of these people to come in.
Bronfman said that he was not surprised that the UJC invited him into their tent.
It wasn't a surprise that I would come and talk about openness, inclusion, Abraham's tent with the sides being up and everybody being welcome. So this is a message that people want to hear and people want said. And institutions more and more are looking for ways to validate the concept of more and more Jews finding value, and the mechanism for that definition of who is a Jew, I think that's completely secondary.
And like his father beside him in this battle, Bronfman says that Jews need not fear what until now has been the unknown.
Judaism was never meant to live within a gated community. It is meant to be open and to have ideas coursing through it all the time, and that its central ideas will remain, and yet it will always evolve. There's never been a time when anybody could be gated in or gated out. The reality is we're just talking about it now. That's the only difference. And I'm not in any way concerned. If something is of genuine value and people find it of value, they won't leave. They'll simply contribute more to it.
This has been Jacob Berkman with Dan Zaradsky reporting for JTA from Jerusalem.